Good morning, everybody. Today we have a quiz on dividing fractions. So it says, solve the following problems. So on the first page, we have 6 regular division problems of fractions. And all you're going to really need to do is keep, change, flip. So remember, when we're doing that, we are keeping the first fraction. So I kept 5/6. I'm changing the sign from division to multiplication. And I am flipping the second fraction. Don't forget that a whole number is always a fraction represented over 1. So I've flipped 8 over 1 to 1 over 8. So keep, change, flip, and you're going to multiply straight across. So 5 times 1 is 5, and 6 times 8 is 48. So my answer for number 1 is going to be 5/48. All right, let's go on down to number 7. It says, Bethany is having a neighbor watch her dog while she is gone for a week. She decides to take 7/8 of a pound of dog food and put it into 7 containers equally. How much dog food will be in each container? Well, what do I know? I know I have 7/8 of a pound of dog food. I want to take the 7/8 of a pound and put it into 7 containers. So I'm going to be splitting that 7/8 equally into 7 different containers. So I take 7/8 and I divide it by 7. And remember, we're keep, change, flipping. Alright, on the back of the page, it says solve the problems below and use a model to explain your thinking. So we're using models here. So number 8 says the length of a rope measures 5/8 of a yard long. Ryan would like to cut it into 2 equal portions. How long should each portion measure? Well, to model division of fractions on a number line, you can take a number line and cut it into the fraction represented in the problem. So here we have 5/8. So we have a rope that measures 5/8 of a yard long. So my rope measures from 0 all the way over here to 5/8. Well, I've cut this whole line up into 5/8, but all I need to know is what is 2 equal parts of 5/8. So I partition my number line equally into eighths, and I could stop here at 5/8. And then I'm going to partition this second number line. But first, when you are creating equivalent fractions on number lines, if I want to find the equivalent fraction to 5/8, I need to find its least common multiple. So when you're doing least common multiples, you can make a least common multiple chart over here. So each multiple you could be represented by 8 times 1, 8 times 2, 8 times 3, which 8 times 1 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 8 times 3 is 24. So each time you could be multiplying by 1, 2, 3, and 4, which I'll represent here. So we could have done 8 times 1, I could also do 8 times 2, then 8 times 3, 8 times 4, 8 times 5, and 8 times 6. So each box represents the numbers over here right after the 8 times. So this is my first box, so it was 8 times 1. Second box is 8 times 2. Now another way you can do that is by adding the target number to the previous number. So let me give you a quick example. So I could do 16, right, plus another 16. And the thing I'm going to be doing here with my line is showing you There we go. Alright, so I can go right from 16, right, and I'm going to add 16 to the previous number. And that process can be repeated multiple times. Alright, so here on the left, you can find your multiples of 8 by multiplying it each time. So 8 times 1 is 8, 8 times 2, and you can go right down the list there. Or you can just add on to the previous number. So 16 plus 16 is 32, 32 plus 16 is 48, 48 plus 16 is 64, 64 plus 16 is 80, and 80 plus 16 is 96. So these are ways to list multiples of a number. Alright, so if you want to find out how to partition your second line, okay, so far we've partitioned my first line into eighths. Remember, each rope is 5/8 of a yard long. If I want to find out how I can equally partition my second line so they can match up to the first line, I can take its least common multiple. So here I've paired up the numbers that are the least in common is 16, so I know I got to label this line into 16ths. Now, equivalent fractions are what we're looking for here. So 1/8 is equivalent to 2/16, and 2/8 is equivalent to 4/16, and 3/8 is equivalent to 6/16. And if I look at my rope, 5/8 of a rope, which is how long it is the same as saying that the rope is 10/16 long. Now, the goal here is I want to cut it into 2 equal parts. So I can use this little method here. I like this. So I want to find out where the midway point is. I want to remember I'm cutting it into 2 equal parts. So if I got to create it into 2 equal parts, I need half of each. So if I have one on that side and I have one on that side, and then I have another one on this side and another one on this side. All right. So I have an equal part here and an equal part here. The only problem is that this one needs to be cut into half. Right? In order for me to do that, what I want to do is I want to take half of that. All right, so what you see here, as I make it nice, is that I have 2.5 on this side and 2.5 on this side. All right, so I have my midway point right here, and if you bring this line all the way down, which I'll make a brand new color, I can see that the halfway mark is 5/16. So if I cut this line in half, they want to know how long each portion should measure if it's cut into 2 equal parts. Well, you could say, for example, that this line also represents 2.5 eighths. 2 and 2.5/8. The only thing is that we really don't use decimals when we're talking about fractions. Okay, we don't say 2.5. We don't say 2.5/8. We really don't say that. We usually create an equivalent fraction to that. Now, another way you can look at this is if I want half of this rope, because I want to cut it into 2 equal parts. So I have two equal parts right here. I'll draw that with these lines real quick. I got one equal part right here, and I have the second equal part on the other side. So now I've cut it into 2 equal parts. So I've just cut this rope. If the rope was the green line, I've cut it into 2 equal parts. Now the same can be said. So I have this rope is cut into 2 equal parts. If you notice, the green line is the same length. So my green lines are the same length here. These are each the same length. So the rope, imagine the rope is green. Each green represents the rope. These ropes are the same. When I cut it in half, I have 2.5/8, but we don't say that. I have 5/16. All right, the models can be a little confusing, but also if you were to keep change flip, you could take 5/8 times 2, or it would be, 5/8 divided by 2, and that would be the same as saying 5/8 times half. Remember, if we're cutting into 2 equal parts, we're taking half of what we have. We have 5/8 of a rope, and we want 2 equal parts. So I'm going to cut the rope in half. So that's basically what I did here. I took the green, which represents the rope, and I cut it in half. And I found out that half of 5/8 is 5/16. All right, number 9. A bottle of vegetable oil holds 5 cups. A recipe for cookies requires 2/3 of a cup of oil. How many recipes could you make with a bottle of vegetable oil? Well, if I want to make cookies, okay? If I want to make some cookies, I need to recognize that each portion is 2/3. So in each bottle of vegetable oil, there's 5 cups, right? But I only need 2/3 of each cup to make cookies. So if I had a full amount, each one of these rectangles represents 1 cup. And I have 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can make a rectangle and cut it into thirds, which is the blue lines. I've made a rectangle that represents 1 whole cup. I've cut up my hole into thirds. And I've done that 5 times. Now, the thing you got to recognize here is that each recipe for the cookies only requires 2/3 of the cup. So if I have 1 serving, I'm going to have 2/3 will give me 1 serving. Oh, that's no good. Here, let's try that again. Right, so I'm going to have 1 here and 1 here. Right now, my red boxes represent 1 serving, right? So 1 serving is 2/3. So here's 1/3 and 2/3. Now I have 1 serving. Now for my second serving, are my yellow. So I have another serving. So the yellow is another serving of cookies. My orange is yet another serving of cookies. So right now, so far, with just 2 cups, I can make 3 servings of cookies. So I'm going to keep going. Now, you might ask yourself, why am I writing these numbers in here? Well, the numbers represent the servings. The colors represent how many portions I need of oil to make a whole batch of cookies. So again, every 2/3 is a serving. That's why each color is represented with 2. This is 2/3 in blue, this is 2/3 in purple, and this is 2/3 in green. Finally, I'm going to end up with about 7 servings. Now, this is where things can get a little bit fishy. So I have this orange piece here. It represents 1/3. Now I only have 1/3 left of oil. Well, how much will that make of a batch of cookies? Well, if I could make a whole nother one, I would have an extra third here. I would have 8. This would give me 8 servings. Now here's the deal, is that I do not have this extra little bit of oil. So I don't have 8 servings. But if you notice, I do have 1/3 left. Well, if I have a third left, I have half of 2/3. I don't have an 1/8 serving. I only have half of it. Take a look again. The red rectangles would give me a full serving. However, I do not have this. I have 1 of the 2. Alright, watch again. I don't have an extra serving here. I don't have this box. There are 2 boxes. If I had 2, I could make 8 servings. However, I only have 1 of the 2. Or you could say 1/2. Alright, so a real quick explanation one more time. Imagine you have a bottle of vegetable oil that holds 5 cups. A recipe for cookies only requires 2/3 of a cup of oil. So how many recipes can I make with the bottle of vegetable oil? Well, if I'm going to use that vegetable oil, I need 2/3 of a cup each time. The rectangle represents 1 whole cup. So I have 1 cup, 2 cups, 3 cups, 4 cups, and 5 cups. Those are my 5 cups of vegetable oil. My first serving is only going to be 2 of those thirds in each of the 1 cups. So I have 2/3 here, that's 1 serving. Another serving is yellow. Another serving is orange. That's my 3rd serving. Another serving is green. Another serving is purple. Another serving is blue. And another serving here is darker purple. And this last piece here is 1/3, which is only half of what I need. So your answer here, how many total servings can I have in these 5 cups? Well, I can have 7 total full servings, so I can make 7 full servings of cookies, and then I can make only a half of another serving. So your answer for that one can be 7 1/2. All right, number 10. The area of a rectangular shape measures 5/8 of a foot squared. If the length of the shape is 3/4 of a foot, then how wide is the rectangle? So you can model this with an expression, right? An expression is basically a math problem, right? And in fact, expressions don't have equal signs. So this not only is an expression, but it's really an equation. All right, so you can model it with an equation. An equation has an equal sign, expressions do not. Okay, that would be an expression. If it has an equal sign, then it is a equation. So again, you can just keep, change, flip here in order to get your answer on how wide is the rectangle. All right, that's going to be it for today. All right, everybody, have a great day and be safe.